So when you start traveling, you'll need the currency in the country to be able to spend money in that particular country. Now, this is a typical table that you'd see. Can I go straight back? And I think it's confusing sometimes, but I want you to explain to me if you already know what the buying and the selling column represents.
The selling is how much the place will give you money, like how much money you get back for each dollar you give in, like in cash converters.
Yep. And buying?
And then buying is how much. No, that's selling. That's how much for. Selling, and buying is like the actual conversion, real conversion.
Yeah. And this is why it gets confusing because you kind of like you go back and forth. The best way how I explain in my notes, and this might help you, is that this keyword here, buying, it's not in your sense of buying. It's the person, the shop. So if you go to the bank, for example, the bank buys foreign currency. That's the key thing. So when we say buying, if you're in Australia and you go to the bank, then you're getting foreign money that you just went overseas, you got leftover money, and you go to the bank and say, hey, I want Australian money now so you can buy my foreign currency. Okay, because they want to buy foreign currency. So they buy foreign currency, that's how much they're going to buy it for. So for every random currency you have, that's how much they're going to buy it for to switch over to Australian dollars. Versus selling, if you look in our selling table, that means that at the bank, if you go to the bank, they're going to sell you foreign currency. So you have Australian dollar like what you were saying before, and you're saying, I'm going to go to Japan. So you need yen. So they will sell you the foreign currency for every dollar. And this is how much they will sell it for. Get me? So for every foreign currency they're holding, and you're like, I want that foreign currency, they're selling you that at that rate. That's what it means. So if you're in Thailand now, you got to remember, you're in Thailand, their currency is Thai, baht. So therefore, you are either, you're going to them and are they buying your Australian dollar? Okay, because your Australian dollar is now foreign to them. Get me? Or are they selling you foreign currency? Which one is it? Are they buying from you? Okay, are you going, hey, I got Australian dollars and I'm giving this to you? Or is it I'm buying, that they're buying your foreign currency? That's different. Get me? So either they're selling foreign or they're buying foreign. That's just keep that in mind. So buying foreign or selling foreign. That's all. It's as simple as that. Cool. So that's why when you're looking at, depending on which country you're in, are they selling to you foreign money or are they buying foreign money? It's foreign money in that country. Cool. So the examples there that I got there, that might just help you get your head around it, or write your own notes, come up with your own examples so you understand how to read the table. Example 1. This one's a bit easy because I kept it as Australia. But say, using the exchange rate table just shown above, if Andrew wants to exchange 400 AUD, okay, so they're in Australia, to New Zealand dollars, calculate the amount they'll receive. So again, they're in Australia. They went to a bank and they want to convert their AUD. So if they're in Australia, it's currently AUD. They want foreign money, which is NZ. So is the bank selling the foreign money or is the bank buying the foreign money? Selling. The bank is giving you, so the bank is selling foreign money because this is your money. This is your Australian money. You're giving the bank Australian money, which is not foreign to them. What they're giving to you, though, is they're selling foreign money to you. Okay, so that means the rate that you should be looking at, New Zealand, let's have a look at New Zealand. New Zealand is here, but because they're selling it to you, they're selling you foreign money, then it's 1.1027 for every Australian dollar. So for every Australian dollar, the rate is, sorry, I'm going to write here. So Andrew is buying, yes, maybe that's what you meant before, Jasper. So Andrew is buying New Zealand dollar, which means they're selling. Every Australian dollar is equal to 1.1027 New Zealand dollars. So that's the rate that's going. And here we go. So 400 AUD, you'll be timesing it to 1.1027. And you should get 441.08. So here we go on my calculator. I do 400 times 1.1027. And there you go. $441.08. Remember, that's not Australian dollars, that's New Z. Okay? So New Zealand. So that's the difference. Okay, so you're either selling your NZ and they're buying from you, or you are buying NZ and they are selling to you. It's always opposite of what you're doing. Okay? So that's the way to sort of get your head around it if you get confused. But that's what the table means. So that's skill number 1 for 10.5. Okay? Flip over the page and we're on to example 2, inflation. In example 2, inflation. In general, inflation every year goes between 2 to 3%. That's just a general idea. So when people talk about pay rises, they all often want a pay rise above 2 to 3%, because if your pay rise is not higher than that each year, well, you're not growing with inflation. It means that you're behind. Okay, and if your pay doesn't grow at all, then you're just going to fall behind. So each thing that you used to buy becomes more expensive over time. So $5 coffee today is not the same price in 20 years. Okay, so same thing with your pay. Your salary cannot stay the same price this year to the next year, but at minimum, you generally want it to be 2 to 3% higher each year. That's what you got to calculate, and then that's what they should do, but most places they don't do that. Okay, so how do you calculate the 2 to 3% inflation? So here's an example.
What's the point of the money going up? If everyone's money just goes up.
Yes, that's right, and that's just to have the same cost of living. That's right. And the reason for that, it's all to do with things like supply and demand. So the reason why things go up is because if you bought a $5 coffee and this coffee shop was able to manage the supply, so people coming in, but as it gets popular, more people come in. There is only so much coffee that they can sell. So what happens to manage that demand is that they increase this price now so that the demand slows. Otherwise, it's just bad review. They're like, oh, I waited in line, I never got my coffee. You know what I mean? So what they do is they increase the price, then some people leave. But if you increase the price there, then that means these guys need to eventually increase their salary. But the thing is, to make coffee, there's all these little bits that make coffee. You got to get your beans. If the beans get popular, then that goes up. Then the price of coffee has to also go up. And it's just the nature of supply and demand that over time, as people want more things, then things get more expensive, then prices go up. So that's why your salary does have to go up with inflation, and that's why people complain and they go on strikes, is because they know what they used to earn now is not the same as what they would earn in, say, 5 years' time. And they're like, I can't afford what I need to do. I need a pay rise to match the inflation rate. So how do you calculate for the inflation rate? You use the compound interest. That's another example where a percentage doesn't change over time. So this is how it works. Let's say you bought a property for $300,000 and then you sold it 3 years later and you sold it for $320,000, right? It almost feels like from 300,000 to 320. So I'm going to write it here. You bought it for 300,000. And then you sold it for 320,000. It almost feels like you made $20,000 profit. Which there's parts of it. I mean, we're not calculating stamp duty and all that. So it sounds like a $20,000 profit in 3 years. Sounds cool. But we also need to take into account, well, what about the 2.5% general inflation rate across everything? In general, it's about 2 to 3% every year. So I took the middle. I said, what about 2.5% on average, right? So we had to calculate inflation. Was this actually a profit or is it actual loss after 3 years? So how do you calculate that? Well, we know we bought it for $300,000. And then the rate is 2.5% every single year. Time is that you're going to do it in 3 years. Okay, so we're interested in to know 300,000 house in this time, in 3 years' time, how much would it have grown with just inflation alone, right? So here we go. This is your compound interest formula, the one that I asked you to revise, especially for next week when I test you. And this is all you have to do on your calculator. A is the total amount after the number of years. P is what you put in. So you started off with 300,000. That's how much you started off with. It's always going to be 1. In this case, because inflation increases rather than decrease, you plus. So plus means increasing. Unlike cars, for example, cars decrease or depreciate over time. This one will increase. What's your rate? Your rate is 2.5. So it's 2.5 over 100.
So, don't you have to do what R? Because you did over 100.
Yeah.
Could you just write 1.0?
Yes, that's the quicker way. But for most students, especially foundation students, this is how they would write in the exam. They'll make sure that you can't go wrong with that divide 100. But we still get students who will write 2.5 and then put the percent symbol there as well. That makes it wrong. That over 100 is the percent symbol. You don't have to do it. You just need to write the number. So 2.5%, you just put 2.5 there. Percent actually means divide over 100. And then finally, n is 3. So how do you do this on your calculator? The tricky part is you have to do it the brackets first. Okay, that's going to have to be key. So depending on which calculator you have, the green one, you have to do 1 plus, and again, to do the fraction, the green calculators can do it. If you've got a scientific calculator, you have to put a brackets in between if you can't do the fraction template. Okay, so this is what I want you to type on your calculator if you have a pure scientific, not a green one. Bracket, 1 plus, bracket, 2.5, divide, 100, close brackets. This is if you don't have the fraction template. This will tell the calculator that's a fraction. So after that bracket, remember I had an open bracket here, so I have to open another bracket. And on all your calculators, you should have a button for the power button. Most of it usually should look like a hat. Sometimes on your calculators, it'll look like this symbol on your calculator. So it depends on which one you have. But you want to do a power of 3. Okay? So that's how you would do it. Unless you have the green calculator, you can literally type exactly what you see here. If you don't, this is the other way to do it. Okay? Press enter to get the number. And once you get the number, then you get answer times 300,000. And you should then get your final answer. Okay, so press enter first just to get the bracket out the way. And then you times to 300,000. Yeah.
If I have the black Casio, would I do that by 1?
Can I see the black Casio?
Eli took it.
Okay. I'll check it next time so that I can know which type of format to teach you on how to use it. But yeah, in general, even on a Google calculator is probably how I would type it to make it work. Most calculators should work that way. But in my case, I've got this calculator, so I can just do 1 plus bracket 2.5 divided by 100, close brackets, and then power 3. Here's my answer. Times that to 300,000. And you get 323,067.19. Just running it off to 2 decimal places. All right. So this is how much it's actually worth after 3 years. But you sold it for 320,000. Did you make a profit? This is what it would have been worth with inflation. It's worth 323. You sold it for 320. Technically, you're 3,000 under. So at the start, it looked like you made 20,000 profit. But if you actually account for inflation, I meant at average inflation as well. It could have been 3, it could have been a bit less. But we can see that without accounting for inflation, for the materials or for demand of buying houses, 320 might not actually be a great deal. I mean, so those are the kind of calculations that, and that's me not even calculating when you sell, you get tax on it as well. So if you take all that into account and lawyers to get the whole deal done, that extra money is probably very little. You would have made a loss. And that's what I meant by property investment. People used to say that if you buy it now and you sell it in 10 years, you make a profit. It's not necessarily true anymore because the margin is a lot smaller. In the past, it used to be. So my parents' time, when they bought it for 70 to 100,000, yeah, it is worth millions now. That's something. But now when you guys buy, you're buying at $1 million. It's not going to be worth 10 million. I mean, it's not going to be 10 times the amount. So now you have to take into account what happens with inflation and then all the other cost that comes with it, which usually is about 15% of the extra price as well that you have to account for.
Our house is done going up.
Sorry?
Our house is done going up. Like, I mean, just like quick.
They are going up. It's a good time to start looking at buying very soon is what I was told. But the question is like, you're buying it now, but how much increase has it been? So from the moment whoever has bought it now, or like for me, I bought it in 2021, still wouldn't be worth me selling it now, even though it's a selling bubble. You know what I mean? With me selling it now, accounting for all that, I'd make a loss. So it wouldn't be my favor. So it's the people who bought it even way before. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to buy it now, the question is, from now until the next bubble or the next 10 years, is it really going to be that much of a growth like everyone used to say? And that's not going to be the same. That's why they're generally encouraging that, you know, if you're going to get into property investment, it's generally better to diversify your investments, getting into shares, getting into a side hobby business or something like that to generate income. But property investment wasn't the same as, or isn't the same as what it used to be. At least what I understand anyway. But I have a very shallow understanding of financial math, so I may not be the best person for you to ask those kind of questions. You might want to ask someone from business or accounting, okay? Or economics. Mr. Berger would definitely know. He's like an intense guy with economics. He'll be able to tell you a lot more information than I would, if that's something you're interested in. All right, team, so that's compound interest. Revise that and learn how to use that skill just to get that number there. And then the last one's pretty easy. This is called a line of best fit. They usually have to give it to you. And then your goal is to look at this graph that goes up and down. What would you predict the graph to be in 3 months' time? Okay, so there's not an exact answer, but at the end of the year, they want you to be able to guess roughly. So we can see that the market trend is slowly up, and then up, down, and then up, down. We can see that the disparity is getting larger, but it's hitting somewhere in the bottom half or top half. The question is when it goes up to this point. So at December, we're down, and November, it's about there. And about October, it's here. So in the next 3 months, where do we guess it to be? And this is where you will just have to do an assumption, roughly. So you can kind of guess it might be roughly somewhere in this region here. That's the idea. After 3 months, if you had to do a guess, we can guess it's probably closer to 4.6 to 4.8 in 3 months' time. So in 3 months' time, we're guessing it's 4.6 to 4.8, roughly. Okay, so this is the last bit. It's looking at data and then doing a prediction based on a line of best fit. What would you expect it to roughly be? And it may not be true, but that's why it's an estimate. Okay? All right, team, I'm going to stop the video there. So only 3 skills, and that finishes off chapter 10. And then we're going to do some revision before next week.